Oh my. Hi, everybody. TGIF, we made it. Here comes your Friday poll question at Smerconish.com. Do you think America's political system can still address the nation's problems, or is it too politically divided to solve its problems? Hey, Michael, that question sounds familiar. Oh, does it? I'll explain why in just a moment. There's a lot of great baseball action all around us, a lot of great football action all around us. And it's a big sports weekend. Parks Online Sportsbook and Casino, the Play Gun Lake app, they've got you covered. Saturday, Detroit baseball is going to face Seattle in the best of 5 division series. And Philadelphia baseball opens its division series hosting Los Angeles Saturday night in Philly. This town will be rocking. Bet more than just the score at Parks. Player hits, home runs, and more on the BetParks app. Then you've got Sunday, Pro Football, 1 p.m. Philly hosting 4-point favorite. Philly is a 4-point favorite. Hosting Denver. Bo Nix, that guy's a stud. Detroit, a 10.5-point road fave at Cincinnati. There's always another way to win. BetParks, Play Gun Lake in Michigan, they've got you covered. Right now, a new casino user deal. You can get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. BetParks.com, PlayGunLake.com for details. Got to be 21 and in Pennsylvania, Jersey, or Michigan. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, yesterday, healthy vote, the Thursday vote total, 35,697. Which party faces more political risk from the government shutdown? 62.43% said Republican. 37.57% said Democratic. That's of 35,697 who voted. And look, I got to say that so far the polling data, I believe that the risks are greater for Democrats. I believe that the risks are greater for Democrats for all the reasons I laid out yesterday. But so far, I can see that the early polling data, and I have a story in the newsletter today from NBC, says more are blaming Republicans and the Republican administration, Trump administration, than are blaming Democrats. We'll see how it plays out. Today is going to be a really interesting day because through Budget Chief Russell Vogt, President Trump now, full on embracing Project 2025 and Vogt's role in it says that they're going to essentially continue the work of DOGE and using the excuse of, well, if this is what Democrats want, then we're going to reduce the size of government. When you think about it, that's kind of illogical. What does that have to do with a dispute over the Affordable Care Act wrapped in a continuing resolution? I don't like this way of solving the issue. I am a defender of the Affordable Care Act. I worry about people's premiums. I worry about people who need health insurance who are going to have the rug pulled out from under them. I just don't think this is the way that the Democrats ought to be fighting it in terms of jeopardizing the employment status of 700,000 Americans, TSA agents, the troops in 2 weeks. What's going to happen to their pay? So there just aren't any adults in the room. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I'm going to talk about it on radio today, and I'll talk about it on CNN, I think, tomorrow, and bemoan, as I often do, the passing of a bygone era where adults could get together and could compromise, which brings me directly to today's poll question. So I'm asking, it's broke, can we fix it? And I'm mimicking the wording of the New York Times, which asked exactly this question. I use their wording. I want to see whether our audience, the people who vote at my website day in and day out, are more optimistic or pessimistic than the scientific study by the Times. It's kind of funny because the sample size for the New York Times and Siena College was 1,313. Okay, we'll have a 30-to-1 ratio of that. We'll have more than 30,000 people who will vote when I ask it the exact same way. And I'm not denigrating by any means their data. I note the fact that they carefully decide, well, who will be the 1,313? We need X percentage of women. We need X percentage of Hispanics. We need people of color. How many men, 25 to 54, yada, yada, yada. We don't do any of that. We just open the barn door and we say, hey, come on in and vote. But ours are nevertheless interesting, and I just want to see, how we compare. So in their survey, again, the question, do you think America's political system can still address the nation's problems, or is it too politically divided to solve its problems? Nearly 2/3 of Americans in theirs said too broken. Too broken. And I'm looking at my computer screen right now in terms of how it breaks down. 64% overall said we are too divided politically to solve our problems. 33% said we can still address the nation's problems. And by the way, so many of you, and it's okay, I welcome your notes, your criticism on the wording of my poll questions. I don't like the way they worded their poll question, because it's so subject to interpretation. I want to make two observations. One, there's stability in the demographics. In other words, as I look at the 33% who said we can still solve this, and I break them down by 18 to 29, 30 to 44-year-olds, 45 to 64-year-olds, the 65 plus crowd, white, black, Hispanic, other, college educated, not college educated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of a constant in terms of, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. The overall number is 33% who say we can still fix it. If you're 65 plus, 34%. If you're 18 to 29, 35%. Like not a lot of difference between it, nor when you break down for race or ethnicity. So it's not as if there's one particular group driving the optimism or the pessimism. The too divided crowd is exactly the same. That's observation number one, that this is not being driven by any particular demographic. Observation number two is, with regard to the wording, do you still think America's political system can address the nation's problems, or is it too politically divided to solve its problems? Our political system. Well, are we talking about those who are in Congress today? Because they can't solve it. If you ask me that question, are they capable of solving it? They're not capable of solving it. They're not capable of solving it because, okay, here we go, mingle, mingle, mingle. We've elected extremists. We reward extremists. There's a vicious cycle that I talk about all the time. Say something incendiary, become a fundraising magnet. Say something incendiary, become a fundraising magnet, and get booked on your favorite program. And now you have outsized influence with primary voters who determine the outcome of the majority of our elections because of gerrymandering and self-sorting. So, said more simply, we reward extremism in this country. And many of us walk around thinking that the country is as extreme as the media and the politicians, but it's not. It's not. And I go through the data all the time. I'm kind of getting tired of going through all the data. But the data suggests that there's far more that unites us than divides us. We think we're more divided than we actually are. So, can we address the nation's problems? Not with this group. I wrote a commentary, and I think I'll say this on radio today. William F. Buckley, I was mistaken. I knew that he'd said something about the virtue of the first 2,000 names in a New York City phone book. I thought he said he'd rather be ruled by the first 2,000 names in the New York City telephone book than by Congress. That's wrong. Thank God I looked it up. He was making that comment about Harvard's leadership. But the same principle applies. Could we fix this? We could fix this. How do we fix this? We fix this by electing different people. And what would make us start electing different people? Having more common experience, being more active in our communities, being joiners like our parents and grandparents were, and having some skin in the game, having some stock in volunteer activities, and feeling like we're connected to our neighbors in a way that today we don't, because we're all remote and, thinking that we're connected because, hey, I'm in a chat now with my high school buddies, but yeah, you still haven't seen them in 40 years, right? So it all fits my narrative. It all fits my narrative. It really does. And I'm going to continue to roll out these Mingle Project episodes and drill down on specific aspects of the big picture. I like laid it out in episode 1. Like here's the big picture. Now I'm going to go deep. And so we did it with relationships. And we did it with the media just this week with Brian Rosenwald. Please watch that. And I think I know where I'm going next. I'm gonna talk about self-sorting because it's really relevant to this. Allow me just one or two other comments, if I may. There's a lot more polling data than just the Times data on can we fix it. There's a troublesome poll on political violence from NPR. I want to talk about that on radio today, but I'll give you the quick takeaway. And that is that 3 in 10 people now say Americans may have to resort to violence to get the country back on track. That is scary. And then survey number 3 that interests me, and of course, everything's in the newsletter today, and it's this: only 28% of Americans trust the media. This is Gallup data. Only 28%, I'll tell it to you literally, this is the literal finding, expressed a great deal or fair amount of trust in newspapers, television, and radio to report the news fully, accurately, and fairly. That number is down 40% from 5 years ago. And what's most amazing to me, and I think I can explain this, if you go back to 1975, let me set it up this way. Today, 28%, only 28%, say they've got a great deal or fair amount of trust in the media. 28%. What do you think that number was in 1975? In 1975, no cheating. By the way, if you're dialed in on YouTube right now, I am looking at you. What was the number in 1975, the percentage of Americans who had a great deal or fair amount of trust in the media? 1975. 1970. Nancy Lawrence, 90. No. 80% says, oh, come on, it's going too fast now. A bunch of you are saying in the 80s. Okay, Bo Thomas said 75%. You're the winner, because I'm looking at a graph and I can't tell exactly where it is, but it looks like it's 73. Now ask yourself, and unfortunately, Gallup begins, in 1973. So I'm looking at the 1975 data. I wish I could see where it was in the 1960s, but I don't think they were asking the question then. But ask yourself, why would 1975 have been like a high watermark for the media? In one word. Okay, who just said that? Cynthia Christie said Watergate, right. Hamilton White, Watergate, right. Chuck Hall, Watergate. Chuck Hall, by the way, is having a mingle gathering in Atlanta. I think it's the 25th, but look it up online on the website. Yeah, Watergate. All right, you're a smart crew. Right. So post, Watergate, people are like, yeah, we can trust the media. And then it takes a nosedive until the year 2000, up a little, down a little, up a little, and then down. And only 28% say they've got a great deal or fair amount of trust in the media today. I mean, what is the media today? Again, I got to add some nuance here. What are we even talking about when we're talking about the media? The media is whatever you want it to be. People call me and they say, oh, the media is so liberal. Oh, the media today, it's so fragmented. And one other thing that is important in this, a big factor has been the reduction of local media. Because when there's no local paper, there's no glue to hold together your communities. And what happens? Everything is nationalized. And now the national personalities get more influence. And as they've moved ideologically, it means that the media we look at is more ideologically driven. You're going to laugh at me. That's okay. All of these subjects, they fit in a weave. And the weave is the Mingle Project. It all comes back to reestablishing common experience. Yeah. So I'm nothing if not consistent, right? Nothing if not consistent. Anyway, Have a great Friday. Yeah, have a great Friday, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for voting. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're just listening to the podcast. And by all means, vote on today's poll question at smerconish.com. How am I going to vote on this? Do you think that America, I mean, again, I don't like the wording. I'm taking the time so I can do the comparison. Do you think America's political system can still address the nation's problems, or is it too politically divided? The political system, not this group of characters, but I still have faith. We can solve this. So I'm gonna take the optimistic answer on the poll question today. Okay, thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon on radio.